Thank you very much indeed, and I think that eulogy, that tribute to the father of our nation and the greatest son of our soil expresses all of our feelings, the grief, the praise, the responsibility for carrying on his legacy. And the Mbongi's words symbolize exactly how we all feel today. And I was most touched when he just knocked on our door this morning and said he would like to come and pay tribute in the traditional way at our press briefing, and I would like to thank Mbongi very, very much for doing so and for giving us all an opportunity through his words and his tribute and his direction of responsibility to the leaders that have to walk in Mandela's footsteps, reminding us what an awesome responsibility it is that we have. And so as we unite in our grief, we remember that no walk to freedom is ever done. Every generation has to pick up the baton and continue to strive for freedom that is an ongoing struggle. It is never ultimately won. It is continued from generation to generation. And while Madiba's legacy is his very long and often very difficult walk to freedom, we now have to take up that baton so that every person in our beloved country can use their freedom in a society that gives them the opportunity to become the best that they can be. And that long walk still has a long way to go. And it is our responsibility, every one of us, to do our bit to take South Africa forward in that direction. Today is a day in which we unite, not to only remember, but to build. Nothing can prepare one for this moment, however long one has prepared for it. Madiba was quite simply the greatest South African who has ever lived. And we as a nation have an extraordinary honor of having given birth as a country to the greatest statesman and the best known international icon of today. And while we are humbly honored by that association, I don't think we often think hard enough about the responsibilities that that gives us. And the responsibility should at this time be weighing very heavily on our shoulders, even as we celebrate his legacy and his life. Because he showed us that power is not status and all the trappings that can come with a protocol associated with power. Power is about service, it is about sacrifice, and leadership is about ensuring that everything you do is to enable others to be able to live the lives that they can dream about. And that is an enormous task. Very few leaders come close to fulfilling that requirement because the diversions are so many and so tempting. And at this time in our country in particular, we really need to renew our vow to the Constitution, which symbolizes the values that are at the foundation of the compact on which we build this nation. And not for a moment must we think the road will be easy. Madiba led us over the first major mountains. We still have a long walk ahead. Today, we find ourselves in this magnificent city of Cape Town, with its iconic mountain, which was the view that Madiba had every day in his 27 years of incarceration on Robben Island. And as everybody looks at the mountain today and always in the future, we will think of Madiba being confined in prison, yet seeing one of the most magnificent sights in the world, one of the natural wonders of the world. And we must know that as we look at that mountain, and as we sometimes even take it for granted, we must understand that we have to emulate in looking at one of nature's great wonders what we believe society can become. Out of many one, out of a divided past, a united future, that respects every individual's right to choose, that recognizes that no single individual is ever always right and no single individual ever holds the moral high ground, but that we live in a free society precisely to encourage different viewpoints and different ideas, and that those are institutionalized in the systems and structures of our Constitution so that we can differ in peace and change our leaders in peace and build a future for our children in peace. And we also look at the lesson Madiba gave our democracy in having respected those institutions and having led for his time, and then in a most gracious retirement provided inspiration to the world. So we have an extraordinary legacy to live up to, and we dare not be found wanting. It would be the greatest tragedy in history if we had one of the greatest leaders in history only to fail in the follow-up. We will not do that, and that is our pledge today to Nelson Rolihlahla Mandela. We say to his family on this day, to Grasa, his wife, to Winnie, his former wife, to his 3 daughters, Makaziwe, Zenani, and Zinzi, his many grandchildren and great-grandchildren, that the world's family mourn with you today. All over the world, tributes are being paid in the most innovative and inspirational ways. I've just seen a photograph of the Eiffel Tower lit in the colors of the South African flag. And so similar things are happening on all of the great natural and man-made wonders as they pay tribute to a leader who did not only lead his nation, out of bondage into freedom, but a nation that Madiba would like to provide an example to the world. The differences of religion, of political outlook, of race, of culture, that are fault lines everywhere else in the world, and sometimes cause very deep division and even wars, are seen as issues that we can overcome in South Africa, and that we do overcome while we build one nation with one future. And if we can do that, we will live his legacy rather than pay any form of sentimental or syrupy tributes to it, because that would be to insult his legacy. The challenge is to live it, and that is hard work on a daily basis. In the weeks ahead, we will pay ongoing tribute to Nelson Mandela. And it begins in the city that was effectively his home, unwillingly for 27 years, but which he grew to love and love dearly, and which the city has taken into its heart as one of the free men of the city. So many sites in the Western Cape are associated indelibly with Madiba. There is, of course, Robben Island, and today the ferry will be continuing. The ferry will take all of the people who have pre-booked their tickets, because that is what Madiba would have wanted. And those fortunate people who can go to Robben Island on this most historic of days will be able to look across the bay in this wonderful weather and see the mountain and pay special tribute in Madiba's cell to the man who sacrificed so much. However, no late bookings will be taken, so if you're planning to go and pay tribute on Robben Island but have not made a pre-booking, please do not do that. There won't be any late bookings taken today because the world's media is going to Robben Island today, and there isn't space for everybody. But if you wish to pay a personal tribute, the Mayor has announced that there will be an interfaith service on the Grand Parade at 5 p.m. today, and that there will be free transport from 12 noon till 3 p.m. to town, and then back afterwards. The trains will be running, the Golden Arrow bus services will be running, and people are free to come and join hands as we show the world a tribute of how we respect Mandela's legacy by living it as one nation building one future. That will be an interfaith service on the Grand Parade, and of course the focal point of that service will be the balcony from which Nelson Mandela made his first famous speech after his release. He came into Cape Town, the city was in gridlock, as many of us will remember, and he stood on that balcony with everybody hanging off it and out of the windows to greet the South African nation and to give us a commitment of how we would walk into the future together. So there's the balcony and the parade, which are indelibly linked to Madiba. Then there are other sites, for example, the Drakensberg prison, where Madiba lived for a short while, making the transition from prison to a free man in a warder's house. And that's also a place of tribute. We recently tarred the road there so that people can get there safely and easily. And of course it is one of the iconic sites associated with Nelson Mandela in this province. There will also be sites across the entire province where people can go and write in a book of memory. You can go and bring a floral tribute if you wish, although the main site for the floral tributes will be at the City Hall at the Grand Parade. But you can go to any one of 160 sites across this province, and there you'll be able to write a personal tribute in a book to Nelson Mandela, and you will be able to leave a small floral tribute or any other memento that you wish. To help you find your way to the places of tribute across this province, we ask you please to go to our website. Our website has all of the places, including the GPS coordinates that will enable you to find your way there. And that is www.westerncape.gov.za/Madiba. I'll repeat that, www.westerncape.gov.za/Madiba, and you will find all of the information that you need to, including a life history of Madiba and all of the places that you can pay tribute. There will be a big program rolling out in the next 2 weeks, and it seems almost extraordinarily fortuitous that this period culminates in Reconciliation Day on the 16th of December. And I can hardly imagine a more fitting tribute than dedicating Reconciliation Day to Madiba's memory. We're waiting to hear from President Zuma about all of the arrangements for Tata's funeral and burial. We will certainly play our role at all the memorials with great commitment from the province. We will participate in any way we can. The Mayor will also announce some very important initiatives that are going to fit in with the national initiatives over the next week or so. But it seems to me that we will always dedicate the great Reconciliation Day on the 16th of December to the memory of a man who taught us what reconciliation is. It isn't just a warm gesture between individuals. It's the capacity to transcend so much of what has happened, to reach out a hand and to see humanity in another person, to see the essence of God in another person, no matter what the past has brought between you. And so as I sit here today with representatives of this government, ministers in the cabinet, we extend our heartfelt condolences to every single South African at this time, and to thank people from across the world who are mourning with us, and who are paying tributes with us, and who feel that they have lost one of their own, for indeed we all have, wherever you are in the world, to pay tribute to a human being whose like is very, very rarely seen, is indeed what binds this world together, and what keeps us focused on the fact that at root our humanity is what binds us all, and that we honor our past and feel humbled that South Africa's past, with all its pain, could be playing such a great role in building one future not only for one nation, but for one world. May God bless you all.
That was Western Cape Premier Helen Zille sharing her thoughts on the passing of Nelson Mandela.